Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Guess what? You get me 2 times today. So I went to the gym and did some things, and I couldn't help it. It's $12.95. I'm going to Bath and Body Works. And I was going to take back that Happy Easter daffodil marshmallow, daffodil dream, whatever it was. I knew the minute that I picked that up in the store a few weeks ago, it was going right back, and it did. And actually, I think it's kind of nice, but it's so weak. I couldn't. It was a no for me. So I took that one back and I exchanged it for one of the new, like cool girl number candles that dropped today, at least in my store. So actually, I went to Bath and Body Works last night too, like way late. It was 9 o'clock, nobody in the store but the employees. They were like putting stuff out, restocking, whatnot, because I wanted to get those car things for $2, I didn't know they were going to go on for another day, but I was like, because they told me on the app, they're like, it's running out. You have to go get your car fresheners. And then today I noticed they were still up and running, so I was not very happy about that. Anyway, 9 o'clock last night, I even brought my Happy Easter candle in, and they were like, are you gonna buy that? I said, no, I brought it in to exchange because I wanted the new coffee candle, the number 30, whatever it is. And they were like, yeah, that's not out on the floor yet. I said, okay, so when do you think it's gonna go out on the floor? They're like, tonight. And I said, I laughed with them, but I thought to myself, don't be a bee, go get it. But they were, and they were like, come back and get it tomorrow. So I did with my Happy Easter candle come back today, and I got it exchanged for number 33, which is the coffee candle. And I also bought the other one, which is, spoiler alert, a much better candle. And then I used 2 of my rewards for 2 single wicks that I've really been excited about for the last month or so. And I knew I was going to use rewards on it. I was just waiting for the right moment, as if that's going to come, just to make sure that that's what you want to use your reward on. And it was, and today was the day that I was like, we're doing it. So I've got this super mini haul here of the 2 single wicks and the 2 cool girl number candle drops, and let's talk about them. So we got number 42 right here, which is fine looking. You can see the seam, which is awkward, and it's actually kind of a wraparound as opposed to the glass actually being tinted that, so they probably save some money on that. But the label looks nice. It looks kind of premium. I think the neutrals look a bit more premium personally, but it's fine. Okay, so number 42, and they're obviously kind of number 1 being coy and mysterious. And did you all vote for the names? I did. I'm such a sucker. They're like, here's the QR code. Vote for the name for it. I'm like, oh, you're not just gonna keep it number 42? Actually, I think that's a really savvy marketing strategy because it kind of engages everyone and it gives them a hot minute to put out something that looks like super high-end and hipster, but they're not gonna keep it around because it's kind of pointless, to have numbered candles, unless you're going to commit and actually do an entire range of numbered candles, which they're obviously not. And then the second one was number 33, which looks like this same thing, only black. Yeah, so those are our 2 special candles here. Let's talk about them for a second. So I'm not going to lie to you, number 42, in my opinion, is much better than 33, but I think this is probably not their core audience. Oh, goodness. We have a school bus right outside, so we're going to hear screeching of brakes and all kinds of things. I apologize for that. I suppose I should have shut the window. The core consumer demographic for Bath and Body Works definitely is more of the Happy Easter variety, i.e. the candle that I just returned. This is my jam. This is my demographic, but I don't think Bath and Body Works' core demographic. And for that reason, I'm not entirely sure why they dropped these candles now. There's nothing very spring-like about them at all. I would have liked to have seen these in like January sometime, you know, like a late January or something when nothing else was really happening, right before they went into like their escapist tropical moment. They could have done this and it still would have been like well within the winter months to have kind of put forward some masculine leaning or cozy candles. That would have been perfect. Now that they've got all of the herbs and the botanicals and the Easter candles and the tropical candles, now to drop them after all of that seems a little odd to me. These are definitely masculine leaning and they're very like cozy cold weather feeling, with the exception of the lemon note in number 33. Really, the lemon peel note is the only element of either candle that feels spring-like or summer-like. Yeah, and they're definitely going with that. If you saw the like suggested names that you could vote for on the coffee candle, it was like spring morning coffee and whatever. And I was hoping that they would give us a write-in where we could like write in our own name, but I guess they're not going to give us that much autonomy. But I was going to suggest some sort of like Mediterranean city with coffee at the end of it, you know, or like a, I don't know, Mediterranean morning or something like that. I don't know, whatever. So that is almost a little springy. Okay, so let's start out though with number 42, which I think is the most successful of the two. So the notes on number 42 are sweet cream, fresh cinnamon, and vintage leather. Vintage leather. So even just looking at it on paper, like, why are we singing this in March? It's a little confusing to me. No, it should not be in March, especially with the cinnamon note. There are certain spices that you could get, even if it was a nutmeg, but cinnamon is just very, very fall holiday, and at least that's one of its biggest associations. And so to have that in already kind of a cozy masculine leaning candle, like, it really does just feel like fall. Yeah, it looks like fall if you're looking at the notes. Yes. Oh gosh, I love this candle. Am I a little concerned about strength and throw? Yes, I am. I think it should be a much heavier and louder fragrance just to pop the lid and smell it. So I am a little concerned about that. And I would say that this is very much in the genre of coffee and whiskey. So even though it's not Bath & Body Works' true like mainstay consumer demographic, it's definitely still well overlapping with it. Because I know there were a lot of, frankly, girls and women who loved coffee and whiskey. Coffee and whiskey is not just a straight up men's cologne. It's kind of a nice, cozy conceptual that goes a tiny, tiny bit masculine. So these are especially for those women who like don't necessarily love full board masculine. This is like a half masculine, a half step toward the masculine, yeah? But there is a great deal of sweet vanilla. It says sweet cream, but there's a very strong like sweet vanilla, and then a sweet vanilla cinnamon. It's definitely a sweet vanilla cinnamon. And the vetiver that they've chosen, oh, it's not vetiver, it's vintage lab. Freudian slip. I think it may be maybe a vetiver or something like that. That is, and I think the reason that I say vetiver, and we've said, or I've said on this channel before, often, unless it's a very pronounced fragrance note, vetiver, patchouli, and leather will kind of come across as, they're similar notes in terms of the way that they come across. So unless they're like a really huge part of the candle, sometimes you won't necessarily be able to discern between the three of them. They kind of give off the same vibe. The reason why I went to vetiver here is not only because we've had a lot of vetiver candles from Bath & Body Works recently, but also because there is something kind of not only masculine and smoky and musky and all those dark things, but almost like a little touch herbal that's actually dovetailing really nice with the cinnamon. So the cinnamon and that herbal are kind of giving it that like little bite, and they work well together, and there's kind of like a meeting place in between. The note that they're saying is vintage leather and cinnamon. They kind of meet in this like herbal spicy place. Yeah, it could even be a little bit of clove in there. It's kind of your incensey kind of vibe. Yeah, I really like it. It's soft and it's sweet, and it's really not too masculine that people who are not masculine lovers wouldn't recoil. I don't think they're going to recoil from it. Now, whether or not they take it home is a different matter. Whether or not they take it home in March is another question entirely, right? But would they take it home in September or October? Yeah, I think so. Like I said, very strongly in the vibe of coffee and whiskey. And I think it's definitely, it's firing on several different levels. So it's got the high notes with some cinnamon and the sweet vanilla. It hits the mid-range and it has a little bit of bass. But I would say it's strongly a mid-range candle that just kind of touches the high, touches the low. It's right in the middle there. It's just really a beautiful mid-range candle in the genre of coffee, whiskey, even midnight cocktails. Midnight cocktails was a lot heavier and a lot more assertive, though, than this one is. And midnight cocktails, I think, is more of an acquired taste. This one is, again, as with coffee and whiskey, kind of one of those gateway masculine candles that people might be able to get on board with, even if they don't consider themselves to be masculine leaning. I'm here for it. I mean, frankly, I don't care what season it is. I'm here for this kind of candle. This is a me kind of candle. Yeah? And if you've been on my channel long enough, there's probably no surprises there. So I would welcome it into my house no matter what month they put forward this candle. If they put forward in March, in May, in June, in July, I'm here for it, yeah? But between us, why? Between us, why do we have this candle? And it even has like kind of a, like, which is appropriate, but it has a very like masculine leaning kind of like leather library kind of deal, like book loft should have been or something like that. Okay, but I like it and I'm happy to burn it. Now, whether or not I burn it now is a different matter, although for the channel's sake, I may, especially if I get tired of the florals, if you know what I mean. I've been burning a lot of florals and I haven't liked all of them. And so there have been many moments, even this week, where I've thought to myself, what can I burn here to kind of get a palate cleanser to just a different vibe? And that's part of the reason that I really wanted to try out this new coffee candle, because I could get behind another good coffee candle. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that this is a good coffee candle. So, number 33. Oh, by the way, I voted for the name affogato and lemon peel because I thought that was the most sophisticated, and I just think it fit the best with, no, I'm sorry, affogato and lemon peel is for this one. This one, I voted for vintage vinyl and sweet cream. That's what I voted for this one, which is a mouthful, but I think that we would just call it vintage vinyl, right? VV. There was one that I almost picked, which was sweet vanilla vetiver. And if they had just dropped the sweet, I would have probably picked that one because I think vanilla vetiver would be great too, even if it's a little bit boring, but the VV is good. But like the vintage vinyl is kind of cool. By the way, I bought a record player this week and it is a very vintage record player. In fact, here's a video of what my new record player looks like. I just needed a record player. So I am of a certain age. I grew up with records. And it wasn't like a retro thing. Like, we just truly didn't have a CD player. And I don't even think when I was born, no, there was no such thing as a CD player. So, and my mother was actually a disc jockey for a radio station. So we had a ton of vinyl, and she loved classical music too. So we had a ton of classical music. And anyway, close parentheses. I said to my friends, this has to have been about 15 or 20 years ago. I said to them, you watch vinyl come back. And everybody laughed at me. They thought that I was crazy. But I'm like a marketing person, right? And I said, absolutely vinyl will come back. And it will come back in a big way for young people, especially. They've never experienced it. It will be like vintage for them. And like all of the cool pop stars will like release their albums on vinyl. And at the time I was like, if Britney Spears comes out with an album, it's gonna come out in vinyl. And they're like, it would never. Now look, I was correct. Okay, so let's talk about 33. 33 is our coffee one. I think I would have put the coffee in the taupe, and I would have left the black one for the vintage vinyl because like it's black, right? I think they got the colors crossed, but it's all right. It's fine. Especially since they were going for like spring morning coffee or something with the lemon. Like I think you need a brighter. Okay, God bless. The notes on number 33 are espresso beans, warm vanilla, and lemon peel. I'm tempted to take this one back. It's a no for me. It's a no for me. The good news is that there is a lot of lemon. And at first when I smelled it in the store, I was mostly getting coffee. The coffee note here is not my favorite. And I honestly don't think Bath & Body Works does coffee very well. And I think I've said that before. I very much like the espresso note in Pink Lavender and Espresso. And I love freshly brewed coffee. I thought that candle from last year was one of the first really good coffee candles and coffee notes that they had nailed for a very long time. I do not love the coffee coming from Bath & Body Works. I think Paris Cafe is revolting. And unfortunately, I think they've used it's a very cliched coffee note here. It's not necessarily off-putting, and frankly, you're not getting enough of it for it to be off-putting, but it feels a little synthetic. It feels a little like instant coffee. Like it's not a deep roasted bean. It doesn't smell authentic. And then you have this lemon thing coming off the top of it. And yeah, maybe some vanilla. Here's the thing, friends. Friends don't let friends put lemon in their coffee. Okay? Now, don't come at me. I know it's like a thing. It might be even a thing in Italy, right? But it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So apparently there is, like the Italians will sometimes do, and I've never seen this, and I am Italian, but I'm like American Italian. They will do an espresso with like a curl of lemon, rind, zest, whatever it is. And they will kind of dip it in, or it'll come into the coffee and kind of around. It's really more of a garnish and just a little tiny bit of an infusion. Lemons are very Italian, and I love lemons. I just love like the smell of them, and I love citrus in general. But friends, don't let friends put lemon in coffee because it is not good. And this goes to like my personal preferences. So if it's not your preference, like don't worry about it. But like we've talked, especially in my coffee videos, that I don't have that many of them, but I do have some of them, yeah? Acidic coffees have a very lemon-like forwardness to them. It's not that the coffee is going to taste of lemons. It is not necessary. You definitely couldn't smell lemons if you were just smelling the coffee. It would just smell like coffee, right? But most of your lighter roasts, and that goes for Starbucks, that goes for other like places as well. A lighter roast coffee, it's a more green, and it often has more acidity to it. There is a bright, acidic like nature to the top of it, and you feel it in your mouth, and it does add like a mouth fullness. For me personally, I do not like acidic coffees at all. I think they're brassy. I think it's just not good. It sets my whole mouth on edge and takes away from what I think is most beautiful about coffee, which is that it's a bean, that it sits low and it's roasted. And the acidity just kind of like puts it up in this like really weird, light, like teeth on edge kind of place, and I hate it. Oh my gosh, guys. I went to Starbucks like after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which means they're not brewing dark roast anymore. And I paid for a Pike's Place. It was so bad. So as I was sitting there like trying to get this Pike's Place like brew down, it's their worst. It's basically their house coffee, and it's not good. And when people say they don't like Starbucks coffee, this is the reason why. Because they give you the house coffee unless you can ask for something else or something else is brewing. That Pike's Place, and I had forgotten about this, the Pike's Place coffee is very acidic. Gosh, almost like lemon tart. For me, it was so bad. There's like a flatness to the beans underneath it, and then there's this acidity. And frankly, the acidic coffees can sometimes get away with being like not great coffees because the acidic note kind of like distracts you from the fact that the coffee beans are actually not roasted very well or don't have that great of a taste. The lemon acidity is kind of like hot sauce. Like, you know how people have hot sauce all over it's like that, you know? It can just cover over a multitude of sins because all you're getting is that. All right, close parentheses. I am not an acidic person. I do not like my coffee acidic. And I think it takes away from the coffee. And guess what? The true lemon note here takes away from the coffee. That said, it's almost welcome because the coffee note, from what I can smell of it, is not very good. It's definitely within the Bath & Body Works genre of coffee notes, which is not something that anyone needs to be smelling in large measure of. I don't know. To be honest, I'm not even gonna lie to you, and I know it's wrong because I have a channel and I should do it myself, but I've got so many other candles. I think I'm gonna hold off on this and I'm gonna wait until some reviews come in and I'm gonna see what everybody says about it, but I'm kind of tempted to return that one. I'm not gonna return this one though. This one's good. Yeah, this one's good. All right, that's those two. Tell me what you thought. Okay, here's my my single wicks. Oh my gosh, I've had my eye on these. These are like the essentials with the gray wax. Cypress. Oh my gosh, I've had my eye on this. And you know what I told you about palette cleansing? I was just standing at the register today, waiting in line, and I was smelling these because they're over by the register. And this was like such an amazing palette cleanser for me. Like, from all the florals and the tropical in the store, and like, then I just smelled this and I was like, oh. This has, well, I'll tell you what the notes are. This is Bergamot Grove. So when you see a Cypress candle with Bergamot Grove, you know you're in for a men's cologne, but it's really not. So I'm happy about that. Bergamot Grove, fir needles, green moss. And yeah, there's a lot of like green moss. It's not particularly damp, so it doesn't go like in a spooky like Halloween cold weather direction, but it is like green, earthy. It's green and earthy. Like, it could absolutely be moss, and it's beautiful. And it cuts some of that fir needles so that it doesn't just smell like a straight up Christmas tree. It makes it smell like a real outdoor experience. And the bergamot, to be honest, it's very muted and it's lending a little bit of a perfuminess, but it's not a usual bergamot men's cologne kind of perfume. It's almost like a lemongrass-like perfume, kind of herbal. Again, all three elements working perfectly. Gosh, I wish this was in a 3-wick. And has it been in a 3-wick before? Because I feel like this Cypress has been out before for Bath & Body Works. I just don't know in what format. Kent would know, Candle Channel. But I think this one's definitely been around before, but I bought it because I just thought, oh, this is a palette cleanser and I need it. So it will become one of my like bedroom nighttime kind of candles with my like lamp, and then I can burn it when I take a shower and stuff. It's a 1-wick, and I kind of like, I'm digging the like gray colored wax. I just think it looks really like kind of austere, but I think that's what they were going for with like the essentials. All right, and then here is the other one that I got, which I've had my eye on for some time. Orange Blossom. Guys, this is everything. Oh, I wish this was out in a 3-wick right now. Yes! It has a vague citrusiness. Also a creaminess, a real warm creaminess. And a floral, like a white floral. What is it? Pressed citrus, green honeysuckle, and vanilla. Oh gosh, that's good. It's sweet, but it's not quite as sweet as you would expect. It's because of the vanilla cutting it and because of the citrus. Again, as with the Cypress, it really does kind of have an essential feel to it. Kind of a stripped down, outdoorsy, not a full-blown Bath & Body Works, this is also a shower gel kind of vibe, yeah? Oh gosh, I wish this was a 3-wick. Has this one been out before? Actually, I highly recommend all of them in that Essentials line. So I would be happy to get the other two. Like if they ran a sale on those, I would definitely get. So there is lemongrass as well, a very forward lemon with lemongrass herbal behind it, also a standout. But it's hard for me to tell exactly how fresh that lemon is, and I would be concerned about if it went in a more cleaner direction once burned. I don't know, but it is a standout. Lemongrass, and then the other one is, oh, amber. Weirdly, amber is one of the shyest and softest ones in the entire line, which you would kind of associate with like more of a heavy like cologne, and it's really not. It's very soft. It's very soft and rich and honeyed, and yeah, it's really nice actually. But I liked the other ones a little better. They were a little bit more botanical, a little bit more outdoors. And then there is a vanilla one, and the vanilla smells real disgusting. It smells like vanilla extract. But you know, as I was smelling it today, I was smelling it and I'm like, you know what I'm getting from this? That plastic, that burned plastic smell, just like Gwen's note that I reviewed earlier today. I think there's lid issues with that vanilla candle too. I think there are. And if I started burning that vanilla candle, I'll bet we would get to the place where I wouldn't smell the burned plastic. I think it's a lid issue. The other essentials don't have that issue. But Gwen's note had that problem, and the other ones in the collection didn't have it either. So I really think that vanilla of all of those essentials is very off-putting, but I think it might be a production issue, a corruption of like maybe that top layer of wax, and once you got into it, it would be fine. And actually it would be interesting to know how it compares to like Vanilla Bean, or you know, there's other candles. I'm not exactly a vanilla connoisseur, if you know what I mean, but if I was going to pick up the other two essentials, I might as well just pick up that one and review the entire collection. Have you guys bought them? I think they're really, really nice. And at least a few of these, I'd give anything to have them in a 3-wick. So I kind of hope they come back. I wonder how they're selling. Oh, guys, I bought from Homeworx recently, but these are repurchases. Look what I got. Ah, black tie. Ooh, actually, this is super similar to 42. Yeah, it's real similar, black tie to 42. But this one doesn't have cinnamon, and it's firing on some more complex levels than this one. This one's more premium, the black tie from Homeworx, but definitely in the same vibe as number 42, otherwise known as vintage vinyl. And then look what I got! Da-da! Patchouli Teakwood. They were running a sale, and I saw it on the website, and I'm like, done. So I got two. Love this candle. Yes! It's so boozy. Oh, that is so great. And now they both smell like fall to me because I burned them in the fall. So isn't that beautiful how those associations work? Oh, I will be so happy to fire those up next fall and like have a moment with both of them. I thought they were great. Patchouli and Teakwood was new for this year from Homeworx. Did not get very much buzz and was not very well liked, at least the people who did get it and reviewed it on YouTube. But count me out. I loved that candle, loved it. And it was really one of the most enjoyable candles that I burned last year as well. So, and because I don't follow Homeworx enough, I wasn't able to do like a best candles of 2024, but for sure it would have made the list. All right, my friends, that's what I've got. I'll link everything down below if I can find it, including the Homeworx, because why not? And I'll catch you guys in the next one.